So James, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam.
Great to have you here. And actually, it's my pleasure to be at the Qastle stand, Qastle Wallet stand. Before we get into Qastle Wallet and Krown network and all that, tell me a bit about your journey. How did you get involved in this industry?
Well, I've been in this sector for about 10 years now, and it really started out, with Java, and then getting in the back end, the coding process of it, and then one day in the space, I was helping out with a project, and I was gotten scammed, and I was hacked, and so it was really born through the fire of the crucible of that, and learning that okay, here are the threat vectors, here are the problems that we need to solve. So moving forward, I really looked at what was on the horizon, what we knew would be coming, right? That would be quantum. I was talking about quantum 4 years ago. Everybody would laugh at you and put their hand on their shoulders and say, good, that's good, let us know. But anyway, so that's how it started. It really started from, a bad situation turned into good. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, everyone is talking about quantum at the moment. It's like just a few years ago, there's only like 40 companies in quantum computing. Now there's over 4,000. There's been an enormous growth. But one thing that I have found, it's like everyone says that a lot of people are saying that they are quantum resistant, but there's no way to check because, we haven't reached Q-Day yet. So how do you believe who's saying the truth, who's not?
That's actually easy for us because we're the most legit. So what it is when they say that they are, what you do is you look at this. Everyone can say that they're quantum resistant by having an algorithm, right? A PQC algorithm, right? But where the real gold is having hardware to back that, right? That quantum entropy. And with our partners at Quantum Emotion, we have a technology, it's called QRNG2, which offers a quantum random number generation on the key level. So the threat is not for Bitcoin or others at the protocol level, right? It's really at the vulnerabilities at the wallet level, at the key level. And so for us, we're able to incorporate that hardware aspect along with 6 other of the PQC, the NIST standardized PQCs, and we're able to place those in specific strategic locations in the chain and in the wallet that offer a superior wallet and superior security to anything else. But if they're only software, they are not quantum proof. They are not quantum resistant, truly quantum resistant. So that's the difference.
That's a very clear explanation. That's fantastic. And do you think we will reach a Q-Day, and when do you expect Q-Day to happen?
Yeah, so in my keynote yesterday, that's exactly what I talked about was, Q-Day. And I think Q-Day is going to arrive. For those of you that do not know, Q-Day is the day, the moment in time when quantum computers reach a scalability, a practical level that it can break our current encryption, right? We currently, what we know as ECDSA or elliptic curve cryptography, right? That is the gold standard, it has been, but now it is no longer impenetrable. And so what we need to really look forward to here is Q-Day, right? And when that'll happen. It will not come as some trumpet blazing, here we are. It'll be very silent, very lethal for the financial infrastructure. And I do believe, if you look at like NIST or any of the other standardizations, they constantly are moving up the timeline. Have you noticed that? I mean, every time there's something new, right? It's always, okay, well now we're here. It started off 2050, now we're down to 2029, 2030. I think it'll be 2028 personally. And then, and one other thing I always say is, we only know what quantum will allow us to know. You see, because every time we find out something new, quantum gives us something new and we're like, aha, we have the aha moment, right? Yeah. So we only know what it gives us, so, yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, there is a lot happening in this whole security space and stuff, and I'm sure you've been following like the rise of Claude and everything, and Mythos, the new model, and that that it's supposed to be able to help people hack into things if they want to use the powers for that type of thing. Would Qastle Wallet be also resistant to the traditional type of hacks and things like that?
So the beauty of Qastle Wallet is Qastle Wallet was built with the AI threat and the quantum threat in mind. And so what we do, you heard the old saying, fight fire with fire, right? Yeah. Okay, so we fight quantum with quantum and AI with AI, and we put them together, right? And so that gives us an edge in our protection in Qastle itself. So yes, we are prepared for that. Yes, we will always be upgrading, always innovating. I have 2 acronyms that I charge my teams with. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's my C-suite or down to a dev. ROI and ROE, rate of innovation and rate of execution.
Yeah.
If you can nail those two together, right, and marry them just perfectly, you will win we won all the time. Anytime we can do that, we'll always stay ahead of the game.
If you get those two right, you might win the ROT, the rate of traction. Yeah, I was a Sun Java developer, and I've built a couple of startups and had a couple of exits, and now do angel investing, and just a bit about my background. And now I've interviewed over 400 different founders, some amazing founders like you. I've interviewed Vitalik, I've interviewed lots of L1, L2 protocol founders, and it's been very interesting seeing how the industry has developed and changed and matured over the last 10 years. It's like 6-7 years ago, you would rarely see anyone in a suit, and now there is so much more institutional adoption when it comes to crypto. It is maturing, the industry.
Finally maturing.
Yes.
Go back to 2018. All right, 2017,
the ICO
20.
boom. That was the ICO boom.
Yes,
if you remember.
right.
Yeah.
Everyone was in,
in a frog costume dressed up like a...
It's so good to see some of the representation here, and it's actually a policy of mine with our team that the way you carry yourself, the way that the way you carry yourself, how you act, how you can connect and network with people, and how you treat people. At the end of the day, it's a people business. That's what gets you the furthest. So yes, it's good to see.
Absolutely. Tell me a bit about Krown Network and Krown Technologies, and how do you differentiate with everything else out there?
Okay, so Krown Technologies Incorporated is the parent company over Krown Network, right? So Krown Network, the 10-second spiel is, the Krown Network, imagine the human body, and the Krown Network is the layer 1 quantum secured blockchain. Inside of that blockchain is a living, breathing ecosystem of 32 products, platforms, and services, and they're quantum secured. Qastle, one of them. And what happens is they feed back into the chain over and over and over again. As people use it more and more and more, that's how it continues to grow. And every year, we will develop 1 to 2 products a year, and we will announce them here at BTC as well, as we continue to fill out the ecosystem.
That's fantastic. Out of the 32 products, what has been the most successful products in terms of traction, usage, engagement, all that?
Well, I think it's Qastle. This year, I think it's Qastle, and I think also, we have to give credit where credit's due. The success comes from the organic community that we've built. If you can do it organically, and you can touch these people, and they talk to their friends and their family, that grassroots effort, you can't beat it, because what we found was the loyalty and the retention rate of an investor, the long-term investment rate, it's much higher, right? So that's why it's successful, and that's why Qastle's so successful. So.
That's fantastic. So what's your, long-term vision for both for Krown Technologies as well as for Qastle Wallet? Yeah,
I think it's continue to grow, continue to provide that solution as we move forward into the future with the cybersecurity issues, continue to protect the digital financial infrastructure. It's extremely important. Look, we have and that's our goal, but we have a solemn duty as owners, founders, executives, to do what we can to help, right? Do good with tech, right? And that's what we want to do. And it's an oath we take to make sure that we leave it for the next generation, right? In a better place that that it can be that way. So for me, it's really about protecting the future and protecting the hard-earned money that people put into you and your company.
Yeah, absolutely. How many years has Krown Technologies been going?
14 months.
14 months, that's great. Say, if you were starting Krown today with everything that you have learned over the last 10 years, and especially 14 months, what would you do differently?
Well, what I would do differently, honestly, is I would look back at my younger self and I would say, you needed to learn a little bit more on those days that you failed. The days that I failed and I made mistakes, I wish I could have learned a little bit more so it didn't take me so long to get to where I was at. But I appreciate the failures. That's what's made me where I'm, put me where I am today. So
that's fantastic. A lot of the listeners of this podcast are founders and builders themselves, as well as VCs. less of a retail audience. So for other founders and stuff, like, what mistake do you see other crypto, blockchain, Web3 founders making currently this year?
They're not studying the threat landscape.
Yeah.
They're not studying the threat vectors. They're not understanding where the problems lie, and they're not addressing those problems. What they're doing is they're riding coattails of trendy words, like quantum, right?
Yeah.
So we see that, like you said earlier, now there's over 4,000, with AI. So a lot of people try to jump on the AI or jump on the quantum thing, but what you need to understand is, you need to understand the entire landscape before you enter into something like that, right? So I think that they need to do a little bit more DD on it, and then once they feel like they understand it, the best thing that you can do, and this has been my entire career, is you put the right people in place, because you cannot wear all the hats. You can, you have to have the best team. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Today is the last day of the Bitcoin Vegas conference. By the time this is edited and released, the conference will be over. What's next, or which event is next for you guys, so people can find you guys, connect with you, visit your booth, all that? Sure. Are you going to any other conferences?
Well, we're not only are we going, we just signed a 6-year exclusive deal, not just with Bitcoin, okay, as the official quantum wallet, but also the Win Lambo campaign, right? Yeah. But we also just signed a 6-year exclusive deal with the Blockchain Futurist conferences, Toronto, Miami. We're the title sponsor there. We'll be all over the main stage. So we're continuing to really get the brand recognition out there, right? But if you want to find Krown, you want to know or learn more about Krown, you can go to krown.network, or any of our social media handles are @Krown Network. So @Krown Network, and that's how you can get a hold of us.
That's fantastic. And my final question is around, what is your ask? What's the key thing are you looking for? Are you looking for investors? Are you looking for another round of funding? Are you looking for hiring? Are you looking at people to give it a try, all that?
Well, obviously we want adoption, right?
Yes.
But we're actually, our CFO, Craig Irvine, he was the former managing director at Merrill Lynch. He is starting a crowdfunding raise. I believe he wants to do a CF raise. So we're going to be raising funds starting next week. And so we're looking forward to that. But yes, I think it's getting the word out there. Adoption, obviously, the traction we want to see, and then raising funds.
That's fantastic. I'm organizing some investor-only events in Miami next week for Consensus, so I should invite you guys there. Yes. Also, one more follow-up question is how's the adoption been for Qastle Wallet so far? What's the traction like? How many people are using it? What are you seeing? What are the early
1,600%. Yeah, 1,600 last night. 1,600% growth over the last couple of weeks. We expect to see that to continue to grow now, especially as the bottleneck's always getting the end user to understand where the value prop is, right? So for us, it's the quantum protection, but a lot of people don't know what quantum is or anything like that, right? So we have to explain it to them. But slowly, what we're finding is, if we spend a little more time organically with these people, that their circle will now become involved with it, and they'll understand it because they'll tell them, right?
Definitely. So. And as a founder and a leader, what's your biggest headache at the moment?
My biggest headache is being able to close my eyes at night and not think about what I want to invent next. Honestly, that's really it. It's like you never, as an entrepreneur, you never stop, right?
Exactly.
I just want my head.
You never have shortage of ideas.
Never.
Yeah, it's the rate of execution, ROE.
Yeah, and then I'll have my ROI at night.
Yes.
And then in the day, I'm trying to get the ROE going, So, yeah. But Sam, it's been great, man.
Absolutely.
Thank
Lovely
you
talking
so much.
with you. Thank you.